মই ইউটিউবৰ লাইভৰ হেৰিটো দি দিছিলে লিংকটো।
দিলা
ৰ'বা। অ'কে।
মই এইটো দি দিছিলোঁ
শান্তি ইউটিউব লাইভ গৈ আছে হা। Please have patience. Soon we will start the meeting. Thank you.
Hello everyone. We will wait for some time for our speakers. Please have some patience.
সূৰ্যা কৌশিক শুনিছানে?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
আৰু অলপ 5 minutes আমি actually sir ৰখি দিছো অলপ participants আৰু অলপ join কৰি লওক।
আচ্ছা, ওকে।
Yes, sir.
কলমটো থৈ দিছিলো মোক ক'ত গ'ল? Yes.
So, a very good evening to everyone present here. Today is a pleasurable day as we, the team of GEORATION, in collaboration with Sitagar Girls College, mainly Department of Geography, they've organized a very fortunate virtual talk on scope of GIS and remote sensing in career building. First of all, I want to say that the proceeding talk is noteworthy because here we have two most important chief guests among us. So let us please welcome Dr. Dhanjit Teka, Assistant Professor of Guwahati University, and Ms. Pinky Datta, Remote Sensing Analyst of Coastal Aquaculture Research Institute Private Limited. Thank you very much for being here, both of you. As we all know today, the GIS and remote sensing techniques are at the top of every sector. Even our newer and the younger generation need to understand the relevance of these segments. Therefore, the main motive of our present is to originate a geospatial environment where the rising generation can build their skills by means of mapping work and mapping tools and gadgets also. At this point, we need to gather additional knowledge on these sectors, and this can be possible in today's talk on the mentioned topic as how GIS and remote sensing can help in building one's career. Our group of GEORATION and Sipsar Girls College, we mutually recently signed a MOU for providing different and various courses for GIS and remote sensing that starting hopefully from September. So we have recently launched our registration link for that. So we'll provide all the participants about this admission procedure and the selection processes. We also happy to announce that in these courses, after fulfillment of these courses, the students can also participate from some short duration internship program uh, in our farm and some land revenue and circle office department also. And hopefully we will finish the agreement with IORA ecological solution for some short-term duration internship program. So at the last phase of this meeting, our founder Sentinel Hazarika will elaborate all the admission process and registration link that started from August. So now I would like to uh, invite our assistant professor from Department of Geography, Dr. Medin Hazarika sir. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, 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 audible. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. uh, Myself, Medini Hazarika, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, Shivsagar Girls College. Uh, Today, I am just going to inaugurate the session of virtual talks on the application of remote sensing and GIS. Before going to inaugurate the session, just I would like to say something about the importance of remote sensing and GIS and needs of remote sensing and GIS in our geographic studies. Okay, so the importance of uh, remote sensing and GIS in case of our geographical studies. Actually, remote sensing and GIS is a tools right from the beginning of our subjects, right from suppose pre-classical period to modern period and post-modern period. In different periods, the tools are basically developed for the specific studies of geographical knowledge. Similarly, in the post-modern period, the most important tools and techniques in our geographical studies is remote sensing and GIS. To survive this particular subject or to survive ourselves in the field of the economic development of our country, to contribute towards the development of our countries from the subject geography, basically we sometimes lack of tools and techniques. That's why sometimes this subject, the persons, those are belongings to the subject geography, they are neglected most of the time, only because of the lack of tools and technology. So in during suppose quantitative revolution, geography gets some lives to forward these subjects toward the contributions of our nation. After that, for suppose 80, right from 1890 onwards, the subject geography is becomes negligible in the field of development towards the development of the economy of our country. So at last, right from 2001 onwards or 2000 onwards, the remote sensing and GIS introduced in our subject, which is most important and for the scientific tools for the study of geographic knowledge. যি নহওক ধৰা তোমাৰ এতিয়া যদি তোমালোকে চোৱা যে আমাৰ বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ ভৌগোলিক অধ্যয়নৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমাৰ যি ৰিমোট সেন্সিং আৰু জিআইএস যি দুটা আমাৰ টুলস হিচাপে আমি পাইছো, এই দুটা টুলসৰ সহায়ত বৰ্তমান সময়ত কি হৈছে যে ধৰা ভৌগোলিক যিবিলাক আমি অধ্যয়ন কৰো, এই ভৌগোলিক অধ্যয়ন বিলাক আমি অতি প্ৰণালীবদ্ধভাৱে আৰু বিজ্ঞান ভিত্তিক আমি এটা ৰিজলিউশন দিয়াৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমি সম্ভৱপৰ আমাক কৰি তুলিছে। আৰু সেই হেতুকে বৰ্তমান ভূগোলবিদসকলৰ ইম্পৰ্টেন্স বা গুৰুত্ব ক্ৰমান্বয়ে ধৰা তোমাৰ আমাৰ নেশ্যন বিল্ডিং ডেভেলপমেন্টৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত ইয়াৰ গুৰুত্ব কিছু পৰিমাণে ভূগোলবিদসকলৰ পুনৰ বৃদ্ধি পোৱা আমি দেখিবলৈ আমি পাইছো। যি ক্ষেত্ৰতে নহওক আমাৰ প্ৰাকৃতিক ভূগোলেই হওক বা আমাৰ মানৱ ভূগোলেই হওক, তাক বিজ্ঞান ভিত্তিক ভাৱে আমি প্ৰতিষ্ঠিত কৰাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমাক এই দুটা টুলছে বৰ্তমান সময়ত আমাক যথেষ্ট পৰিমাণে সহায় কৰিছে। সেইটোকে মই ক'ব বিচাৰো যে আমাৰ যিসকল ভূগোল বিজ্ঞানৰ ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰী আছে, সকলোৱে যাতে এই দুটা সাবজেক্টক অতি গুৰুত্ব সহকাৰে লয়, তেতিয়াহে প্ৰকৃততে দেখা পোৱা যায় যে বৰ্তমান সময়ত ভূগোল বিজ্ঞানৰ অধ্যয়নৰ যিটো গুৰুত্ব আৰু ইয়াৰ যিটো ধৰা তোমাৰ সাকসেসফুল বা আমাৰ কৃতকাৰ্যতা আমি লাভ কৰা বুলি কওঁ, তেতিয়া বিশেষভাৱে গুৰুত্ব লাভ কৰা দেখা পোৱা যায়। গতিকে বৰ্তমান সময়ত যিসকল ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীয়ে ধৰা তোমাৰ এই ৰিমোট সেন্সিং আৰু জিআইএছত ভূগোল বিজ্ঞানৰ লগতে ৰিমোট সেন্সিং আৰু ধৰা জিআইএছক উচ্চ শিক্ষা গ্ৰহণ কৰিবলৈ সক্ষম হৈছে, তেওঁলোকে ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ বিভিন্ন ঠাইত, অসমৰ ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকল ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ বিভিন্ন ঠাইত প্ৰতিষ্ঠিত হোৱা দেখিবলৈ পোৱা গৈছে। গতিকে সেয়ে মই ক'ব বিচাৰো যে ইয়াৰ যিটো ইম্পৰ্টেন্স বা ইয়াৰ যিটো গুৰুত্ব, হোৱাট ইজ দ্য ইম্পৰ্টেন্স অফ ৰিমোট সেন্সিং এণ্ড জিআইএছ ইন জিঅগ্ৰাফিকেল ষ্টাডিজ, গতিকে সেইটো আমি জানিব লাগে বা বুজিব লাগে। মই তোমালোকক সৰু এটা উদাহৰণ দিছো। যেতিয়া আমি গুৱাহাটী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ত অধ্যয়ন কৰি আছিলো 1992, 93, 94, 95 চনত, সেই সময়ত প্ৰথম গুৱাহাটী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়লৈ ধৰা তোমাৰ ৰিমোট সেন্সিং জিআইএছৰ কিছুমান সামগ্ৰী তালৈ আনিছিল কম্পিউটাৰ সহ। তেতিয়া কি কৰিছিলে যে ভূগোল বিজ্ঞান বিভাগে কৈছিলে যে এইবিলাক আমাৰ টুলছ নহয়, আমাৰ এইবিলাক আমি ব্যৱহাৰ নকৰো। ঠিক একেধৰণে আকৌ তোমাৰ ফিজিক্সৰ এইবিলাক ফিজিক্সৰ সামগ্ৰী ফিজিক্সলৈ পঠাই দিলে, ফিজিক্সে ক'লে নহয় এইবিলাক আমাৰ নহয়, এইবিলাক আমি ব্যৱহাৰ নকৰো। এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ এটা অৱস্থা আছিল, যিটো বস্তু 1992, 93 চনতে আমাৰ ইন্ট্ৰডিউচ হ'ব লাগিছিল। লেক অফ নলেজ, ডিউ টু দা লেক অফ নলেজ, এই বস্তুটো ব্যৱহাৰ হোৱা নাছিল আৰু ফলস্বৰূপে আমি ভুগিব লগা হৈছিল। ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকলে যথেষ্ট পৰিমাণে ধৰা তোমাৰ বাহিৰৰ যিবিলাক বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ লগত আমাৰ প্ৰতিযোগিতামূলক কিছুমান কাম কাজৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমি ভুগিব লগা হৈছিল। সেইটোকে মই তোমালোকক এই ধৰা তোমাৰ চমু দুআষাৰকৈ আজিৰ এই অনুষ্ঠানটি মই আৰম্ভ কৰিবলৈ অনুৰোধ জনালো। অভাৰটো খাৰঘৰীয়া।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, you very beautifully presented the importance of GIS and remote sensing in today's sector. Hopefully our participants and our students should encourage us and motivated from your talk. And now I'd like to Santiner Hazarika, our founder of our organization GEORATION, to introduce our respected speakers to our participants. And over to you, Santiner.
Thank you, Kosik. And thank you, Medinisa, for inaugurating today's program with a wonderful speech. I hope today's program will help our participants a lot. Now we would like to start our first session, which is on utility of GIS and remote sensing application. For this session, we have invited Dr. Dhanjit Deka sir. He is an assistant professor in Department of Geography of Guwahati University. He had many publications in national and international journals. His expertise mainly in geoinformatics and fluvial geomorphology. We are very fortunate to have him today. Thank you, Dhanjit Teka sir, for joining us today in a very short notice and giving your valuable time. Now I would like to pass to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Centenaro Hazarika. A very good evening to all the participants who had joined virtually from different parts of Assam. First of all, I would like to convey my heartiest thanks to the team members of GEORATION. They are really doing good in GIS and remote sensing field. I would also like to thank Sri Medini Hazarika sir, which is very elderly to me and which have a good knowledge on remote sensing GIS, though as he has submitted his PhD thesis on land use land cover change of Shivsagar district using remote sensing and GIS. So the topic that have been assigned to me today, the utility of remote sensing and its application and GIS and its applications. So due to lack of time, I could not prepare the presentation exactly as per the title that have been assigned to me. So I'll be basically talking on the basic concept of remote sensing, the basic concept of GIS, and the application potentialities, because whenever we would like to go for any kind of job or any kind of future potentialities in GIS and remote sensing field, we must have to see the application potentialities of remote sensing and GIS, in which field actually they are being used. So I'll be going through the application potentialities, and lastly, what are the freely available data sources, because to get a good result, we need a good database. But as we all know that the database that are available for GIS are very costly, but there are many freely available sources from where the students basically who are doing in academics, they can download the data and they can use it for their academics as well as for research activities. So I'll also show some freely available sources which can be utilized for any kind of geographical field. So let me share my screen. It is saying that host disable participant screen sharing. So can you enable me?
Okay, sir, sure.
It is still saying host disable participant screen sharing.
Sir, please check now, sir.
Okay, fine. Now it is coming.
Okay, sir.
So is it visible to all, my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us first start with the concept geographical information system. I don't know the nature of the audience of today's program. So I am hoping that most of the students are from undergraduate courses, some of the students are postgraduate courses, and some are maybe from research background. So I'll start with geographical information system. So as a student of geography, we first know what kind of problems we are facing. because already our chief guest, Sri Medini Hazarika sir, already mentioned that we are using the remote sensing and GIS for different purposes for in geographical field. So what are the problems we are facing today? We are facing the problems of increase of population. We are facing the problems of urbanization, globalization. Then we are also facing the problem of economic development and as well as environmental change, then human conflict, and there is a growing knowledge. And we all know that we are passing through the age of advancement in scientific and technology. And they bring it more complex, more challenging, and crowded also. So we are expecting that in the next 25 years, urban population will be double. It will be from 2.5 billion to 5 billion. And importantly, it is very much important from a geographical perspective that most of this increase, around 95%, will be in the urban areas of less developed regions of the world. That is our main problem. And for that, we need more understanding in terms of content and context. And also we need a strong collaboration to tackle it. So in this context, we need to build a digital abstraction of the art where GIS can help us. So we may call GIS an evolving system for measurement, for monitoring, for modeling, for planning, for decision making, and finally management. So these 6 aspects are most important from GIS point of view. And this 6 system ultimately affects our planet's evolution. So for that, we need more awareness, more accountability, and understanding, because we need a better ways to represent our world, to understand our world, to manage our world, and to communicate with the people staying at different parts of the globe. And then only we can represent the world as a system. And in this backdrop, GIS provides a new kind of abstraction and language. And why GIS comes? For organizing our world. So in this background, the birth of GIS has happened. Now, what is GIS? Simply, it is a technology and a concept. We may also call it as a bunch of hardware and software tools. We may also call it as an information handling strategy, because a lots of data has been derived from different sources and we normally use in GIS. And the main objective of GIS is to improve overall decision making in different field. It's simply like a GIGO. GIGO means garbage in and garbage out, because anyway we have to use the data and we have to give some output in terms of decision making. So if you put a good database, your output will be good. And if you put a garbage inside the system, your output will be in form of garbage. So if you see the principal component and functions of an ideal GIS, we are starting from collection of input and correction. And where from we collect the data? It may be from maps, it may be from tabular source, it may be from field data, then it may be from other digital database, then it may be from remote sensing, and finally we may also hire some data from GPS. Then after getting the data, after collecting the data, we need to store and we need to retrieve the data. And from storage and retrieval, we need to manipulate and analyze the data. And finally, from the analysis of data, we get some output. And what are the formats of output? It may be in form of reports, it may be in form of maps, it may be in form of products, it may be in form of statistical data, it may be useful for other digital database, and it may be output may be in form of some models. Now, if you see the real change, GIS begins and ends with the real world situation, because we are collecting the data from the real world. The source for the data, the input of data, it is from the real world. And after data retrieval, after data analysis, what are the outputs we are getting? We are taking the output for the real world itself. That's why it is called as the begins and ends with the real world situation. Now, if you see the evolution of GIS, earlier it was the cartography, what we used. But now the GIS has been developed up to data access and data publishing. That means you are working at Shivsagar with some GIS work, and you can give access to this data to a person sitting in maybe California or Washington. So you can publish the data. There are different sources of web publishing where you can publish the data as per your wish. Now, if anyone asks you, if a normal person asks you, what question a GIS can answer? So a comprehensive GIS can answer all of the following questions, like location, where, what is at? What is at? So if you see, if you have the database, if you have the maps, suppose I have a database of entire Guwahati. So if anyone asks you the building which is located at Ujan Bazar, who owns it? And if you have the database, you can say that the plot of land or the flat that have been existing in Silpukhuri area is owned by that person. This answer can GIS give. Then condition, where is at? So instead of identifying what exists at given location, you want to find a location where certain conditions are being satisfied. So if you have the data, so you suppose used to find a house which have assessed at less than 2 million with bedrooms, with woodwork and parking. So if you have the database, GIS can automatically give you the exact location. That means these areas, these flats are belongs to the criteria which you need. So GIS can answer this also. Then trend, what has changed since? If you want to map, suppose a district, suppose Shivsagar town from 1990 onwards or 1970 onwards, you can use GIS. If you see here, Chandigarh city in 1940, then Chandigarh city in 2000. We have different types of maps and we can use it to know the trend of change. Now, lastly, the model. What if? If you have the database of suppose rainfall, if you have the database of suppose flood, and if you have the database related to this kind of socio-economic data, then you can model it. If rainfall will be this much, flood will increase up to this much, and if flood will be up to this much of population will be affected. So this kind of model we can prepare using GIS. Now, after getting this knowledge, where is at, what is the trend, and what is the modeling, now we can say that GIS is an analysis tool. It links spatial data with attribute data, and it can use the stored attributes to compute new information about map feature. And in short, we can call as GIS only not hold the maps or pictures, rather it holds a database from which the data can be viewed in a new light. So there are some literal definition. We can call any manual or computer-based set of procedures used to store and manipulate geographically referenced data. These are simply text. These are simply a literal definition of GIS. But in short, what we get, it does not hold only maps or picture, rather it holds a database from which we can see the data in a new vision or new light. So while accurate, comprehensive and widely accepted, these definitions are very cryptic to a GIS newcomer. This cannot be understandable for a newcomer. So a simple definition is a computer system which can hold and use data describing places on the earth surface. Simple. Now in GIS, some of the real world object like city, it can be represented through point. Then stream or road, it can be represented through line. State, it can be represented through a polygon. Then road network, it may be from in line segment. Then city names and population census in annotation and text files. So if you see, GIS is nothing but a combination of three features: point, line, and polygon. And there are two ways in GIS. One is called raster and other is called vector. So what makes data spatial? We are always tell that we need spatial data. Geography must use the spatial data. So which or what makes data spatial? We must have some coordinate. We must have to use latitude and longitude. There should be description of place. There should be some place names. There should be some zoning map, and there should be distance and bearing. Only if this kind of attributes are there with a data, then we can call the data as a spatial. Now, what are the components of GIS? There are 5 components of GIS: software, hardware, data, procedure, and people. We need 5 components of GIS to work properly. Then there are also some elements of GIS. I will not go through the detail because I have to cover also the remote sensing part, application, and data sources. I'll share my PPT with the GEORATION group. They can give you the slide. So now I'll shift to the remote sensing part. So similar to GIS, if you see the backdrop, we are evolving towards a more human controlled world where population is increasing, consumption is increasing, land use is increasing. And what are declining? Resources declining, diversity are declining, natural areas are declining and creating problems in both the world. And because of this, we need to map, and to map it, we need the remote sensing technology, which is very new technology. So what is remote sensing? It is defined as the acquisition and recording of information about an object without being in direct contact with that object. So in the general sense of term, if we see the literal meaning, remote sensing is referred in relation to EMR sensor, which are operated from spaceboard platform. Then why remote sensing? Why not only simple cartography? Why not simple maps? Why we are using remote sensing as geography student? Because through remote sensing, it is easy to recognize macro patterns which may not be visible from ground. Then to gain an overview of an area, to gather information on large areas in short time, then to gather information cost effectively, then to gather information on inaccessible places, and to replace the conventional sources of information like toposheet, census data, etc. And because of these features, we are using remote sensing as an important tool. Then if you see the system, we are acquisition of data through satellite, aircraft, and other types of sensor system. Then we have reference data, data products like it may be in pictorial or it may be in numerical. Then 2 types of data, 2 types of interpretation procedure, visual also, quantitative also. And the information output in form of maps, in form of books, and in form of reports. And who are using this data? Again, the user, population, people. Then there are 2 types of remote sensing. One is called passive remote sensing. One is called active remote sensing. Simply, in passive remote sensing, sun is the source of energy. And in active remote sensing, you have to radiate the energy from artificially generated sources, and that may call such as radar. Then what are the major components of remote sensing? If you see, energy source, platforms, sensors, detectors, processing, and lastly the organizations. And if you see the remote sensing technology in Here you see the sun is the source of energy. The energy is radiating up to Earth's surface. If you see, sun is the source of energy. Then when it hit at A, object A, this is called radiation and the atmosphere. And B is the interaction with the target. Then after interacting with the target, the radiated energy reflected back to the space. And this is C. Energy recorded and converted by sensor, because C is the satellite or aircraft who is getting the reflected back energy by the sensors. Then D is the Earth station, where some scientists are sitting and who are taking the database from satellite or aircraft. And finally, the D, that the Earth station are producing the satellite images which we are using at present. Now, here also I will not go through the detail because I will mostly concentrate on the application part and the data sources. These are all the literal things. I'll share the PPT, you can go through it. I'll simply show you some of the satellite imageries which can be useful for you. Now you see, satellite so far launched by India. It was started in way back in 1988, and up to this has not been updated since 2007. But till now, India have launched many satellites which are being useful for geographical purposes. And if you see the resolution-wise development of Indian satellite, it was started in 1988 with 1 kilometer spatial resolution. But now we are using 1 meter spatial resolution of Cartosat 2 data, which are mostly used by the defense purpose. We can use it also for the academic purpose also. And this is the trend how it has been developed. And these are some of the characteristics of different sensor I have putting here. Now you see some of the satellite images which are normally we used, because to make a good decision, we have to use both remote sensing and GIS technology. So remote sensing gives us the sources of data like satellite images, and GIS helps us to analyze the data. So these are some of the sources of data, some of the satellite images which are useful for geographical purpose. These have different types of resolution. Here you see a list tree imagery of Guwahati city. We can map it. We can map the land use, land cover using this list tree imagery. So this is a airwaves data which have a spatial resolution of 56 meter. This is the list 4 data of parts of Mumbai which have a spatial resolution of 5.8 meter. So for urban mapping and analysis, you can go with list 4 data. When this is Cartosat 2 image, 1 meter spatial resolution, you can see all the objects very clearly. But it is unfortunate that the normal people cannot use the Cartosat 2 data. It is only used by the defense persons. Then there are some foreign satellites which are producing a very good quality of satellite image. So if you see here, this is a having a multispectral sensor with 2.44 colored spatial resolution and pancometric 61 centimeter. And this is similar pancometric 61 centimeter spatial resolution of QuickBird image. Here it is showing the Eiffel Tower. It's very clear. This is a QuickBird image of Hyderabad city. You can see the stadium and also you can see the Birla Temple of Hyderabad using this high resolution satellite imagery. Why I am showing it? Because these satellite imageries are mostly useful and important from geographical perspective, because we are mostly concentrating on Earth resource perspective. So for mapping the Earth resources, we are using many satellite imageries with colored image. So that's why this list 3 image, list 4 image, airwaves image, QuickBird image, Iconos image, and Cartosat image are mostly useful for geographical purpose. And if you want to map which satellite imagery you can use for what kind of scaling of maps, it is written here. You will go through it, you can understand it easily. Now last part of my presentation, I'll go to the data source, which is mostly important from a geographical perspective for an undergraduate student and for a postgraduate student also. See, application potentialities, where we can use remote sensing and GIS, and these application potentialities will also show in which places, in which companies, where we can use the remote sensing and GIS. Being well trained. If you get a training at some institute of remote sensing and GIS, where you can be accommodated. So application potentialities in weather forecasting. As a geographer, if you have the knowledge of software, if you have the knowledge of remote sensing technology, if you have the knowledge of GIS technology, this remote sensing and GIS is widely used in weather forecasting. That means this is a branch where we can be accommodated. Geography students can be accommodated after getting some well training in remote sensing and GIS institute. So secondly, it also gives support for tsunami. There is one geodata.gov.in where we can get every maps in relation with tsunami. We all know that what is tsunami. So in this part also, the persons, the people, the students from geography background can be accommodated. Then GIS and remote sensing is widely used in hydrological modeling like flood, especially, and in the disaster management section, disaster management, Government of India, Government of Assam, they are using remote sensing and GIS technology for different types of model. Then Earth observation, coastal mapping, also remote sensing and GIS is widely used. Then if you see the marine ecosystem monitoring, because Indian Peninsula is mostly covered by three sides by Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean. So we need to monitor the marine ecosystem also. So in this section also we can be accommodated. Then there are many agencies who are preparing the maps and they are publishing the maps in their websites. So you can be also accommodated in these sectors also. Then groundwater modeling also, GIS and remote sensing are widely applied. If you then see the disaster modeling and response, I have already mentioned, remote sensing and GIS technology is widely used in this section also. Then in 108 emergency service, though it has not been developed in Guwahati, but the cities like Bengaluru, the cities like Hyderabad, they are using the remote sensing and GIS technology in 108 emergency response system. Then forest management, as we all know that this is the most important segment, most important part of geographical study where GIS and remote sensing are widely used. Then for environmental monitoring and management, for land use change, we are using remote sensing and GIS. Then for urban system modeling also, in the very beginning, I think the team of GEORATION has initiated that there are some jobs in revenue department, there are some jobs in town and country planning. So in town and country planning, we are preparing some master plans, and regional planning and preparing master plans also a part of town planner and geography background students. So if you have the knowledge, you can go for urban system modeling using remote sensing and GIS. Then habitat modeling also we are using remote sensing and GIS. Then one of the most important branches is medical geography, like human disease and surveillance, where we are using remote sensing and GIS. Then global food forecasting, most of the country having the system of GIS and remote sensing technology, they are using this software for developing some databases to cope with global food forecasting technique. Then lastly, nowadays in business also, many companies are using remote sensing and GIS, starting from telecom sector to electricity sector also. They are using this remote sensing and GIS. And already I have mentioned there are many applications for defense purpose. We are using GIS and remote sensing and technology. And lastly, for nature conservation, we must have to use the remote sensing and GIS technology as a student or as a person having relation with the geography subject. Now, to cope with this, to do the analysis for this kind of applications, there are many sources of data which are freely available, and especially for education and research purposes. So here I am putting simply 10 important sources from where you can download the satellite images freely. Number one is usgs.gov.in, from where you can download Landsat satellite imagery, which are mostly useful for geographical purposes. You can download Landsat 4, Landsat 5, then Landsat 8 OLI, then Sentinel data, resource set data of Indian remote sensing satellite, and also you can download list 3 image. Then NASA Earth observation. You can download also some of the imagery from NASA Earth observation. Then I have already mentioned USGS Earth Explorer. Then there is an important website, is called ESS Sentinel data, European Space Agency Sentinel data. So Sentinel data gives us a satellite image with high resolution. So you can download the data from ESS Sentinel website. Then there is also one option, NASA Earth data. Then NOAA class, you can download some NOAA imagery from this website. Then NOAA digital course is also available. Here I am putting all the freely available satellite images which you can download from these websites. Then Terra Aqua, you can download the satellite imagery of Terra satellite from this website. Then Lens is also present. And lastly, VitoVision. These are the 10 freely available sources from where you can download the satellite imagery as per your wish. There are also some freely available sources from where you can download a high resolution satellite image, like planet.com. Planet.com gives you a free signing for 14 days where you can download a satellite image like QuickBird, which have a spatial resolution of 61 centimeter, very high resolution. So for that, you need to sign in, you need to log in, then you can download this kind of very high resolution data from planet.com. Here I have already downloaded some satellite imageries of Guwahati, which I am using for land use land cover. It is only free for education and research purpose, not professional. Then DEM, digital elevation model, is a very important source of data for geographical study, and you can download some of the digital elevation model from these websites. I am putting here the website. When I will share my PPT with Centinaru, she can give you the PPT and you can go through it. So 30-meter SRTM, subtle radar topography mission. There is tile-wise DEM are present. You can download of your area of interest from these websites. You need to log in with the Earth data login for this. Then we know ALOS Pulsar, this is a Japanese satellite. ALOS Pulsar DEM is said to be very high resolution DEM. Normally for getting PhD work, for doing PhD work, we can use the ALOS Pulsar DEM. And you can download the ALOS Pulsar DEM from this website. This is totally free of cost. Though it is 30 meter of resolution, this is very high resolution in terms of data. And you can download all the procedure I have put here. You can go through it. Then there is one option, Bhuvan Portal. It is used by the National Remote Sensing Center, Hyderabad. So you can go through Bhuvan portal and you can download the satellite imagery. As most importantly, you can download the thematic maps like soil map, like geomorphology map, like land use, land cover map, which are mostly useful in geography. You can easily download it from the bhuvan.nrc.gov.in. So for that also you have to register yourself here, and you can go through any of the options available here. So here you can download the satellite imagery for IRS list 3 imagery, which have a spatial resolution of 23.5 meter. Then there is one software, freely available software you know about it, QGIS. So Bhuvan has a spatial arrangement to link up with directly with QGIS software, and you can download the software from here, and you can join, you can link the Bhuvan spatial data directly with the software, and finally you can prepare a land use land cover map of, suppose, Assam. Here I am only putting the Assam land use land cover map. You can prepare from Bhuvan and you can use it in QGIS software. Then we all know that for geographical research and geographical study, rainfall data is very much needed. So here I am putting a website from which you can download the daily rainfall data. You can download accordingly. You have to log in first. You have to register yourself. Then there are many stations for which you can download the data as per your wish. You are getting the data each and every day. Then there are some sources from where you can download the geological map directly. This is the website from where you can download the geological map of the earth, and you can use it for your education purposes. Then you can also download from this website the soil map. If you can download the soil map of whole Southeast Asia or maybe for world, you can ultimately get this kind of soil map of India, which is freely available in this website. You can use it. Then I am putting here again the global climatic data. There is another source from where you can download the daily rainfall, temperature, relative humidity, etc. from this website. This is called Power Data Access Viewer. And lastly, there is one option is called Land Cover S3 data of 2020. You can download freely the land use land cover map prepared by S3 using very high resolution satellite imagery. For that also you need to register first. You can go through it and you can download the data as per your wish, and you will get this kind of land use land cover map for your study purpose. So here I have showed many applications of remote sensing and GIS. I have presented many sources where data can be downloaded freely, so you can use it for your own research and academic purposes. So I think I have finished my presentation. Thank you very much. So because of lack of time, I could not prepare as per the topic I have been assigned. So anyhow, I have prepared some of the slides and I have showed it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge in geoinformatics sector and for such a informative presentation. I'm sure all the participants have learned a lot in this session, and personally for me, it's also a great revision, and it's a you showed different data sources, and thank you for that, sir. We will look forward to work with you in future.
Sure, thank you.
Sir, if all the participants, if you have any questions to sir, please feel free to ask.
And one thing, just I want to add it.
Yes,
see, for good remote sensing and GIS knowledge, after passing out your graduation or post-graduation, you need to go for a specialized training. And there are many training institutes, it may be government and private, in many well-known cities of India and outside also. So in Assam, we have already 3-4 institution which are providing GIS and remote sensing technique, and I think GEORATION is one of the good institution which what they are going to start the training program. So you can go through some of the training, specialized training from specialized people, so that you can use this technology in for your near future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think there is no questions. Now, we will start our second session, which is on scope of GIS and remote sensing in career building. For that, we have invited Ms. Pinky Doctor. She is a remote sensing analyst in Coastal Aquacultural Research Institute Private Limited. She did her master's in geoinformatics from Bharati Vidyapith Pune, and she had more than 3 years of experience in GIS sector. Pinky Datta.
I think there is one question. Somebody is asking which kind of data
yes,
can be.
What data is used for urban planning in Assam?
See, if you want to go for urban planning and management from a geography perspective, you can use Cartosat imagery, Cartosat 2-meter resolution. That is a black and white data, and you can also use list4 imagery, which you can purchase directly from NRSC and have a spatial resolution of 4.8 meter. You can also go for Iconos data with a very high resolution, spatial resolution, and also you can go for QuickBird satellite imagery, but these are mostly foreign satellites. You have to purchase it from the private agencies.
Thank you, sir. There is any more question? I think there is no questions. Thank you very much, sir, again. Now I would like to hand over to Pinky Doctor.
Hello everyone, myself Pinky Datta, and I'm working as a remote sensing analyst in a Chennai-based company which is working on coastal aquaculture. First of all, thank you, Mr. Deka sir, for understanding us remote sensing and GIS concept in very simply. And thank you, GEORATION organization, for giving me an opportunity to interact with people of Assam. First of all, after study and did graduate from GIS and remote sensing, we have always questions, what next? For that, I have to share my screen, but host disabled participants in sharing. Can you please?
Miss Pinky, we'll check now.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to see now my PPT?
Yes, yes, yes.
My session topic is scope of GIS and remote sensing in career building. Already, Mr. Deka sir told us and about the GIS and remote sensing concept. So I'm going directly to the scope of GIS and remote sensing in career building. There is many opportunities and career potential in GIS and remote sensing in India. There is a huge opportunities in GIS careers in India. Most people just understand to making maps and all, but there is nothing only making maps and all. In GIS and remote sensing, we able to analyze and study and visualize the data. In nowadays, GIS career is very much important for in a private and government organization. In 21st century, many organizations offers GIS analysts, remote sensing analysts in India as well as in foreign countries. Geoinformatics is an interdisciplinary field which broad application in all kind of backgrounds. We are working in agriculture field, we working in coastal analysis, hazards, and other utility, telecom, and so many things we have to do after getting a proper GIS degree. In India, most of people working in GIS by using in GIS and remote sensing areas like crime mapping, agriculture, irrigation, forestry, transportations, infrastructure, as well as tourist industry, which is now emerging in India, market analysis, real estate, and many more. And next things, who will get a degree of GIS and remote sensing? Students from the geography, geology, engineering, IT sector, computer background are can involve in GIS and remote sensing sector. For advanced career, there is the choice to take PhD program, certified courses, diploma, MA, and MSc in GIS and remote sensing. With arrival of new and advanced technology, the value of geospatial science is going to amplify with the necessity of specialization in it, especially in India. So people now in from geography background, they have to direct get admission in geoinformatics specialized subject. For me, I feel very lucky for Assam, so that GEORATION is the organizations give awareness on GIS and remote sensing. For my time, for me it's very difficult and struggle for me to get proper training in GIS and remote sensing at that time. But now in Assam, a platform like GEORATION is for best to enhance your techniques in GIS and remote sensing. It's very and first platform I think in Upper Assam GEORATIONs. People from geography background and any other background can take advantage to get admission and understand the problem and prospects, how to deal with the real situation, real problem, real scenario by using GIS and remote sensing. Uh, for me, Assam and Northeast is huge potential to analyze and enhance our GIS and remote sensing techniques in Northeast. Like Northeast is very huge potential in natural resources and to study disaster management, to study the rivers and their tributaries and their resources, water management. So we people are very lucky to to study using GIS and remote sensing in Northeast only. We don't have to go other side for research purpose. Many people do thesis and research paper on in Northeast prospective problem in real ground. So GIS and remote sensing is not very tough to understand, but we have to understand the trending of GIS and remote sensing, how it goes, which tools and techniques and modelings, which Mr. Sir or Deka sir also told us about the modelings. We have to understand the models, new trending, which model used for which field, which model used for water management, agriculture, and other disaster management. Before that, we have to gain knowledge, the basic knowledge of what is GIS and what is remote sensing, how we apply in the real scenario and the real problem of day-to-day life. Nowadays, GIS is also involving in indoor problem. Already most of the agency working on it, how to deal with indoor problems, indoor health issues, any other like real estate, housing properties like that. So there is a huge potential in this subject. So we have to encourage people and awareness about the GIS and remote sensing concept. I we most of the colleges and institute in Assam, most of the people are not aware about the GIS and remote sensing, and I think GEORATION did a very great job to awareness, giving awareness about the GIS and remote sensing concept to the students which are from geography department and any other field to work on it. I must say and thank you to the team of GEORATION to did a great job. And that's all from me to how to build your career in GIS and remote sensing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pinky, for sharing the information about how we can enhance our career in GIS and remote sensing sector. Now, I would like to request all the participants, if you have any questions, please ask. Participants, if you have any questions. Actually, GIS and remote sensing sector is a very interesting sector, and it looks like difficult from outside. But if you start to learn and start to study about GIS and remote sensing, it is very much easy if you have understand all the concepts of GIS and remote sensing. I hope this virtual meet will help all the participants regarding that. Thank you all the participants for participating. Sorry, there is one question. Do we need AutoCAD or any programming language for GIS jobs in India? I would like to
Um, yes, this for in the coming trend, programming language, you should learn any one language, programming language, and AutoCAD for only for GIS background, like properly GIS work, there is need to AutoCAD. But now almost all the remote sensing and GIS activities work are going automations. People are shifting to manual to automation. So there is requirement for programming like Python, mainly Python and R analysis. So these two language you have knowledge about and basics knowledge about on programming language, then you will definitely going with the trend like that. So it's for you learning programming language and understand about programming language is a one benefit or advantage in GIS and remote sensing, I must say.
Thank you, Pinky. Is there any more question?
B.Ed কেতিয়ালে গমেই নাপাম DLED টোহে গম পাওঁ
I think there is no more question. Now I would like to close this session. Before that, I would thank all the participants for joining us today. We have organized this program mainly
নাৰ্ছিং
for
কৰিব
the
পাৰিলে ভাল লাগে কিন্তু প্ৰাইভেটত এতিয়া সুমু হস্পিটেলত জন্ম হৈছিলে সেইখন হস্পিটেলত
yourself, Pallavi New, ma'am.
3 বছৰ 3 লাখ জব গ্যাৰান্টি 3 লাখটো ক্লাছ
Thank you everyone once again for participating today. We have organized this program mainly for the students of Assam because they have many doubts regarding geoinformatics sector, regarding job career, job opportunities and all. Our main motive of our organization is to aware the students of Assam, students of Upper Assam regarding this sector. And secondly, I want to thank Dr. Medini Hazarika sir for joining us today, and Principal Sir Budin Misra of Sipsagar Girls College and Head of the Department of Geography of Sipsagar Girls College. Then I want to thank our special guest, Dr. Dhanjit Deka sir and Ms. Pinky Dr. Ma'am for sharing their knowledge and giving their valuable time. And lastly, I want to thank all the members of GEORATION and all the professors of Sipsagar Girls College Geography Department for helping us to make this program very successful. Before closing it, I want to share some information. We have both online and offline courses on GIS and remote sensing, like 1-year diploma course, 6 months diploma course, 3 months certificate course, and 1 month certificate course. The both registration for both the courses, means online and offline, have already started. If you want to enroll the session, please do. We will share all the links, registration links in the WhatsApp group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.